MVP, the Mo Vaughn Podcast, presented by Vaughn Sports Academy and Perfect Game. I'm Will Burge, and here with me, as always, the man himself, the hit dog, Mo Vaughn. How we feeling today, Mo? You said it's hot down there in Southern Florida, right?
It's smoking, somewhat like what's going on in the managers' realm right now with the few teams and organizations. Wow, we got to last few days, couple hours. A lot of stuff has transpired.
Yeah, we're going to go through a lot of this. I know by the time people hear this, it'll be Thursday morning. We're recording this on Tuesday. The Red Sox firing Alex Cora will have been about 5 days old or so, but I definitely want to get your perspective on that and some of the quotes that we've been hearing coming out. But now there's a whole new wrinkle to it, right? Because right before we went to record, there's another casualty in the coaching ranks, the managing ranks, and the Philadelphia Phillies have fired Rob Thompson following a 9-19 start. And he will be replaced by bench coach Don Mattingly, which there's a cool part to that story, which we'll get to later. But we're going to get to some other stuff too. There's a huge prospect that just got called up that is kind of the last big name in a recent draft. I want to ask you about kind of that, how it relates to this. But let's start right there with the Red Sox and Alex Cora first. What were your thoughts there? It doesn't feel like everybody is that surprised about it, but there's high expectations for this Red Sox team coming into the year, and they definitely underperformed.
All right, so I'm going to break down a couple of things. First of all, the whole offseason for the Red Sox, not being able to sign players has contributed to their start. You need players. I think the fan base in Boston has been clamoring for a few years now, looking back at all the players that have been let go, playing well in other places, doing a lot of things. So there's been a lot of backlash on the fan side. Me personally, I think Boston is a very, very tough place to play. When you have players that understand how to play in that environment and play under that stress and understand what it means to be in that Red Sox organization trying to win, I know there's money constraints and things happen, and owners want to save money at times, but we haven't paid any of our, and I say our, I've had a little bit of tenure there in Boston, haven't paid the players that have been successful in that environment. So it's very, very tough to continuously have turnover and be successful. And then you have a team that is very, very young with high expectations. On the second part of that is Breslow, the GM, didn't pick Cora as his manager. So you knew that's like almost like friendly fire. Something goes wrong and my name is on the line and I'm going to put the guys in place that I want. So in some instance, I'm not surprised at that. It's the price of doing business. GMs want guys that they understand and that they like, that think like them. And, that combination needs to feel right from both parties. And a change was made. And the Red Sox have won some games. So, on that note, that's not so surprising at all, but you need to field a team, veteran leadership, veteran players to be successful. And ownership didn't do that, this past offseason.
Yeah, it's funny because Cora is obviously extremely well liked around Major League Baseball. I mean, this is a guy, he is one of the more popular guys. So you can, in the coverage of this firing, you can actually feel that. You can feel from some of the reporters and stuff. There's some visceral anger as to how this all went down. But just to play devil's advocate, and I'm not saying anybody should be fired, but if you are Breslow and you look at the history of how GMs have been they get about 4 years in Boston now. That's all you get, right? And that's kind of why they had some issues last time they did the GM searches, because people were like, hey, man, I'm not going to come in and get ran out 4 or less years. Epstein got 5, obviously very successful there, but then Cherington, 2012 to 15, Hazen, 15 to 16, Halloran, 19 to 23. Breslow might be on his last leg here because
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so if he's going to go down, he's going to want to go down with his own guy, right? It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's fair. Cora kind of did get dealt a bad hand, but this is kind of the business of baseball, ain't it?
Listen, it's almost like we were talking earlier. It's almost like the NFL. If you're not winning right away in our league, in MLB, and there's an opportunity to make a change to make winning happen, it's going to happen. And I think in this situation even more, when you have a GM that's maybe on his last leg, like you said, he's going to want to go down with his guy. So, whether he, at this point in time, it didn't really matter how everybody felt about Alex Cora. It didn't, and you're right. He's got rave reviews and great respect. But in this situation, Breslow's thinking, if I'm going to get fired at the end of this year, at least it's going to be with the guys that I put in place.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of ends a war that had been bubbling behind the scenes, and it wasn't very well kept, right? I mean, I think everybody kind of knew there was two schools of thought here, that Breslow and his front office said, hey, this is how we construct the lineup, this is how we want it played. For anybody who's ever seen Moneyball, this feels very similar to that, but like the opposite, in the beginning of the movie before they fire the manager. And I don't know. It just... There was a big fight over the 2-hole, right? That was the whole thing this year.
Right.
So who's going to bat second in this lineup? And it feels crazy to boil down to something that simple, but at some point there is a final straw and you go, okay, if you're not going to listen to what I have to say, you got to go. And then at the same time, Cora's not going to be, I mean, we're going to get to it, but Cora's already being, courted for another job. It's not going to like he's going to be out of work long.
Listen, we at times all work for somebody. If they're going to be butting heads by positioning or players or who's brought in and who's not, the guy with the upper hand is going to make a decision, and that's what happened. And don't get me wrong. Listen, ownership has created this. This whole every 3-4 years since Theo creates this. If to me you look at some good teams and some great teams, there seems like there is a tremendous amount of consistency. And there's been a lot of inconsistency in Boston in their process at that leadership spot. So this is what happens. And I've always said this, none of these decisions are going to be made without ownership backing the process. We can talk all in all about Alex. He was a great manager. He Red Sox got him players. He won. And you can't win without players. But all of this, to me, stops and starts with ownership. And that's where the sun rises and falls in these decisions. And Breslow is only going to make these decisions without the backing of Mr. Henry.
How do you feel about, do you think, I know we always say like there's a million different ways to skin a cat from a manager's perspective in a dugout, right? We've seen the rah-rah guys. We've seen the players managers like a Tito. We've seen guys who are kind of more separated from the team and just kind of let them do, the guys who like lean towards younger players, the guys who lean towards veterans. There's a million ways to do it that way. Do you buy that there's multiple ways to do it as a full organization though? Because if you look at the way, I hate to say it because the Dodgers are spending just ungodly amounts of money, but Dave Roberts in that front office is a very collaborative effort there. It's very well known that they all work together. They sit down, they're looking over the numbers and they're going with, who he's saying is hot and who's up and who's down in the clubhouse. Then you go to Boston where this feels very much like Breslow is like, hey, this is how it needs to be done. And you're going to do it this way. And if you guys don't, not only are you gone, Cora, but they wiped the whole coaching staff out basically. I mean, Veritek was there 30 years and he's gone. So is there multiple ways to get this done? Or do you think that people need to start looking more at like what LA is doing where it needs to be more collaborative? You got to have the nerds in the room with the numbers and you got to have the old school baseball guys in there too. And you come up with one cohesive game plan.
I like a lot of guys. And I also like a lot of old school guys, I think, because I've been around a lot of old school guys. But my main guy that I like is Dusty Baker, because he's going to give you the old time manager style. But he's a tremendous communicator. You gotta be able to talk to your players. You know, everybody seems to, just looking from afar with him. Everybody understand who was the boss, but he also brought you in and he clearly defined your role it seemed like everybody would run through a wall for this guy and guys would play. I think there's a little bit of, analytics. There's a little bit of old time. There's a big factor of communication that has to happen. So everybody knows their place in their process. And you put those three things together and you have a good working partnership. I'm not so sure it could all be analytics, and I'm not so sure it could all be old school. I think it all comes together, but I think Dusty was the guy, and I think Dave Roberts has taken over that role. We had him on with us. He's he knows the X's and O's. He has great feel for his players, but I also know that he's bringing guys in and saying, this is what I need you to do. This is what your role is going to be. This is how I need you to affect. This is where we plan on using you. And when you do that, everybody is in the clear and they understand. They might not like it, but at least you know where you stand, and then you can go forth as a team collectively.
That's still a relatively young clubhouse in Boston. There's a lot of young guys there, and a couple have been there a couple of years, but they're still young. If you were in that clubhouse with those guys, how do you, as a team, is it just, hey, business as usual, we loved Alex, next man up? Or is it one of those things where you're like, you're kind of side-eye in the front office? Walk me through the mentality of what that's got to be like in that clubhouse right now.
I played for Joe Morgan, then Butch Hobson. Then I played for Kevin Kennedy. I played for Jimmy Williams. And then I was gone. So in the 9 years I was there, I played for 5 different guys. And you gain, we had we won the division in 95. We woke up the next year, Kevin Kennedy was gone. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't there to get to catch guy. I don't know why, but there was just a lot of that happening. But us as players, after all that, and you're going to feel some pain, you got to go out and do a job. There's a job to be done. It's only beginning of May. Yeah. You got June, July, August, September. And I tell people all the time, I've been on some bad teams after the All-Star break. And when it's that bad, I don't care what job you're doing. You hate coming to the ballpark. It's just like, it's like a gorilla sitting on your back, in that position. So whatever the Red Sox have to do to get themselves back in it. So after the All-Star break, you got to you're close and things mean something is what you're trying to do. But as professionals, you got to go out there and put your numbers up. You got to go out there and play, in front of the crowd. Right now, the fan base at Fenway Park is coming to boo the team, and you got to change that. They're coming to let you all know how they feel about what is happening. So the only way you're going to change that is to start going out there playing ball the way that they expect you to do. And you as a player had to look at, man, I got 4+ months of this season left. I don't want this thing to get sour so fast that after the All-Star break, you're just slugging and sledging uphill and everything's so hard.
Look, nothing's done this early in the year, but the Yankees have won 9 of 10 as of Tuesday. They're 7 games up in the East. That feels like cause for alarm if you want to win the division, but the Red Sox are only 2 games out of the wild card, right? There's the entire season's in front of them. So I don't think anybody's hanging their head and quitting on the year. That's not happening in that clubhouse there. Like you said, it's unfortunate, but there's a lot of young guys. A lot of young guys are still trying to prove something too. So you got to think they're probably going to be going out there running through a brick wall trying to get this thing done.
Bro, you got opportunities. You're going to be on the field now. You're going to have an opportunity to stay in the big leagues. Now we talked about this. Now it seems like a young player's game where they're calling you up. We talked about this early and throwing you in the fire. Damn it. You're out there. Go take advantage. Figure it out. I tell people all the time, these young hitters, figure out what your structure is at 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. So that gets you consistent at 7 o'clock. Now you have that time. You're on the field. You're going to play. Figure out what you got to do in the cage. Figure out what drills you need to do. So now at 7 o'clock, you got a good chance. And that's how you become a pro.
Yeah, we're going to get some more young guys, and there's another call up coming here in just a little bit. But there was another firing that just happened right before the podcast. The Phillies, they fire Rob Thompson, who's 4 straight playoff appearances, including that World Series in 22. Obviously, not off to a great start there. I think 9-19. He'll be replaced by Don Mattingly, be the interim manager there. Who obviously we love Don Mattingly, but that's still crazy. This is early in the year to be firing all these managers here. But here's the other part of the storyline. And Buster Olney had been teasing this on his podcast. He said, I believe he even threw out the idea that the Phillies maybe would try to trade for Cora because they liked him so much. So they fire Rob Thompson. A report just came out a little bit ago that they offered that job straight to Cora right away. So it feels like that might be connected. And Cora turned it down and said he's going to spend some time with his family. So if you're the Phillies, I know you're in a bad spot at 9-19. Things aren't looking great. But if that really just happened and they really just fired their manager, thinking they were going to be able to grab Cora, and he says no to him, man, that's whew, I don't know, man. That one feels a little dicey to me.
Oh man, that's rough on everybody. That's rough. That's hellish treatment on Rob Thompson. It's crazy a thought to even go after Cora, but this game has just gotten to that. But I'm going to say this too. Dave Dombrowski probably was saying, all right, well, listen, let's go back. The Phillies were looking like the Red Sox. So once Cora got fired, you started to feel this could happen in other places.
Yep.
No doubt in my mind. Okay. Yep. So now they got a guy that they think is a good guy that comes up. In Cora, Phillies do. They go, okay, so maybe we take this guy. But also in the back of their mind, if he says no, Don Mattingly's not a bad guy to put in place either. You know, we love him. I love him. He's great, and I hope success for him. But there may be a little bit of wrangling going on, in Dombrowski's mind. Hey, I'm gonna take a stab at this. If I don't, I still got Mattingly in my back pocket. You never know what that feeling is, but it just goes to show, like, wow, like Thompson, 4 years in a row in the playoffs, and I know it looks bad, but damn it, Zach Wheeler is just coming back, and this is another thing on Dombrowski. If Ranger Suarez was successful for you in Philly, knowing the situation, knowing the fan base, knowing the media, all those guys that are successful with the media, I don't know why we don't keep those guys. They know how to do it under pressure. And then you're bringing in new people that may not have ever been in the situation, and now they're thrust into it, and they got the deer in their headlights eyes. You know those eyes.
Oh yeah.
All right. And those eyes in Philly, Boston, and New York do not work. When you got the eyes of the guy with the eyes of a Cylon, you keep those guys because they know what they're doing. But Wheeler's coming back, okay? Mattingly, we know his pedigree. He's a Yankee. He's going to bring that mindset, and he will steady the ship. He will steady the ship. He's always will have good things to say with Kevin Long offensively. I think he will step to the forefront, and maybe we have a little turn to get the starter back and they could get going. But it's crazy. Like, what is happening is the guy in New York, the Mets guy, Mendoza, is he next? With this whole thing, you never know. People are getting fired now for this.
People thought he might have been the first domino to fall. Now
exactly.
He could be third in this line. And look, the Philly, you're right. The start was very similar between Boston and Philly, but here's the difference between those two places. Is we just talk about the wild card for Boston. They're only 2 out. And if you look at the teams above them, right, besides the Mariners, there really isn't a team, and probably the Blue Jays, right? There really isn't teams that you look at and say, hey, they're head and shoulders more talented than the Red Sox. There's a ton of young talent in the Red Sox. Look, the Rays are always scrappy, but we know where they're going to hover just above 500. That's kind of who they are. The Guardians, exact same thing. Rangers, Orioles, these teams. If you go to the Phillies side in the NL, the Phillies are 6.5. Bro, they're 6.5 back of the wild card, and you got the Padres who aren't going anywhere. I mean, they look damn good, and they got all the talent in the world. The Cubs are above you. Obviously, the Pirates are young, but the Brewers and Cardinals are going to be hanging out. There's a lot of teams you got to climb over to get back up there into the mix. And at the same time, the New York Mets are sitting there 6.5 back, exact same as you. They could be making a managerial move, and they got a ton of talent there as well. I mean, that's a tough hill to climb. And if anybody could do it, I like Don Mattingly's odds of it. But man, that's a tough hill to climb over in the NL.
Listen, I agree with you. The NL is strong this year.
Yeah.
If you want to do something, you can't wait too long. But Rob Thompson is a great guy. Great reputation. Hopefully he'll get another spot to get back around. But you got to win, man. You got to win. It's like the NFL. You have got to win these games, man, and be competing, with the Dodgers. Everybody's jealous of the Dodgers, and what they do, but they seem to be, people just say, they're just buying talent. They're not just buying talent because they're developing. They got young guys that come up and know how to play. So they're developing it also. But the Dodgers are putting pressure on everybody to compete and do things. And for that, I like it. I like having a team out there out front who everybody's chasing to be like, and it makes everybody better in the long run.
Hey, you need evil villains, right? And what better evil villains than LA and New York? LA and New York on both sides right now. All right, so now that Don Mattingly and his son become the first ever manager GM combination, I need you to tell me what's more impressive to you, Mo Vaughn? Is it the first ever manager son GM manager combination, or is it LeBron and Bronny, him throwing an alley-oop to him in a playoff game? Which one of those two things is more impressive to you as a father? Because those are both insane. Both are insane.
Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. I think the GM. I'm going with baseball.
All right,
I'm going with the GM and the dad being a manager. Because to me, the dad was such a great player, and then his son was able to become the greatest administrator in the game. He had to live and probably taught him a lot and understood how to scout and how to look at players and brought him up through, went through the ranks and, just like his dad did as a player. I'm going with baseball. I think that's the greatest thing.
They're both crazy though.
They are. Listen, that alley-oop, it's whoo, wow. That's awesome too.
I don't know how he didn't cry. I coached my sons. I don't even know what year it was. It was like their first year of basketball. He had never scored a basket yet. It was like a 3 age range. He was the youngest kid on the team. I teared up the second he scored his first basket. I don't know how you're throwing an alley-oop in a playoff game and you don't get a little choked up over that.
Listen, every dad would love to be in that situation. Every dad and any dad.
Yeah, it's been a cool story out there in LA, and we'll keep an eye on the rest of it. There may be some more firings coming in the MLB. We hope not. We want everybody to keep their job, but you just don't know. Once these dominoes start falling, man,
right?
You just don't know. You brought it up earlier, Mo, that MLB is starting to pace more like the NFL. The NFL, they say not for long is what it stands for. You get into a job, you become a GM, you become a coach, you become a quarterback for a team. You don't win, your ass is gone. They will get rid of you in a heartbeat. It's very quick. Rookies come in, they play right away. They don't care. You're going in, quarterbacks come in, you're playing right away. We're starting to get more of that in baseball. Obviously, you're seeing the firings on that side. And now the first class where it was like everybody was on board, we're getting these guys in the major leagues quickly, was the 2024 draft. And we've seen, look, Nick Kurtz already AL Rookie of the Year, right?
Big Amish.
Yes. Connor Griffin, huge contract. Obviously, a lot of hype around him. You got JJ Weatherholt. You got Chase Burns, Jack Caglione. Well, now the number one pick of that draft is getting called up to the Guardians, Travis Bazzana. And if you want to talk about some pressure, Mo, talk about a kid who not only now has to compete with all those names who've already had success at the major league level, and he was supposedly the quote-unquote most pro-ready coming out, but he also has a whole damn country on his back. The entire country of Australia, this kid is like put up there and they're expecting him to be their guy. Imagine that type of pressure walking into a clubhouse. Now, he's a grinder. He's a crazy person. I've ever seen him. He's got a couple screws loose. He loves baseball. He's always learning. He's yelling, he's hyped up, but man, that's still a lot of pressure. I don't care what kind of mentality you got.
Look, I've always felt, first of all, that's awesome. The fact that these young guys are getting the opportunity, that's great. I'm just going to say, I think PG, we get these boys ready.
Yep.
These boys are coming to our tournaments at the end of the summer. WBA, right out here where I am in West Palm and Jupiter. And there's 30 scouts there watching. I remember when I had 8 scouts at the game, it seemed like the stress was on. These guys, with the opportunities that PG brings to them, they are ready. He's just a little off in his mental toughness to not even care and just go out there and play and take all of that wind that he's got blowing over there from, across the water from Australia, pushing him. He's the type of guy that's just going to take off. But I used to wonder until, I really got into PG and understood what it was really about, how these guys were so ready. They're ready because of the positioning that we're putting them in at such a young age that when they get to the big leagues, Pete Rose always used to say, it's easier to play in the big leagues than it is in the minor leagues. Why? The lights are better. You see the same pitchers throw more strikes. You see the same pitchers. You got a scouting report. He used to say it's easier. And when he said that, I was a rookie. He said that to me one time in 1993. I was in a card show. I told you, Joe Morgan, Sparky Anderson, Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, and Tony Perez, and me in the middle. I got beat up. But he talked like that. It's easier when you get from the minor leagues to the big league. Everything's better. And you see better baseballs, the balls go farther. But these guys, I think, from the atmosphere that we created, PG, are ready to go when they get there.
I mean, think about last year's WWBA, that when Striker Pence started that game, 16 years old, playing up, and there was radar there. Mo, there might have been 70 radar guns on that field.
Listen,
it was insane.
I was right there. Everybody's got the golf carts laying back. It was unbelievable. And the boys, they just go out there and play.
Yeah.
I marvel at that. I think that that's great. I think that that's what it should be. They've been in the fire so long that nothing phases them anymore. They're ready.
You're seeing at the major league level, these guys are producing right away. Not just because I'm a Cleveland guy, but we want Travis Bazzana to have a good career. But, I think he's got the mentality to do it too. I heard a crazy story. I was listening to the Selby's Godcast. Shout out to my boys, TJ and Zach. It's probably the best Guardians podcast out there. And they were talking about how when he was a freshman at Oregon State, he walked in and asked if he could shadow the seniors, which was like Stephen Kwan and some of those guys. And they were like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he followed him around. And they said he was so annoying because he asked 8 million questions. He asked about everything they were doing, every little thing.
That's
he wanted to know
awesome.
the mentality behind it. What's the thought process? Why are you doing it? And then he gets to the minors, Mo. He goes to Lake County here in Cleveland. He gets called up to out of rookie ball into low A. And he went to the front office. He goes, can I have a scouting report on the entire next team, which you don't always get, not at that level. And can I have a scouting report on all my teammates, just in case I see something I can help them with? And they were like, yeah. I've never heard anybody ask that before.
That's some leadership stuff.
Yeah. And that's why they took him number 1 overall. And that's this day and age, as you know, Mo, everybody's got talent. What's differentiating those guys at the top?
Mental.
One. Yeah, exactly. And then do they match up with your organization, your beliefs and that stuff? But that's really cool to hear.
That's all. Listen, I marvel at that. I would hope that, you hear from teachers all the time, ask questions. It's the same thing in baseball, ask questions. That kid went up there and asked questions. And what that does is it puts people on alert that you're open-minded for information. And when you're that, you got an opportunity and you have that open mind, and then you match that with a little bit of skill, you got a bomb. And you got a guy ready to go right now.
I got 2 more things for you, Mo. This one's fun. This is a guy who's been around a long time. A guy who's produced at a high level for a long time. A guy with a big name who has been cool about them moving him around to the lineup, just plays where he needs to play. He's a Mr. Automatic, goes out there and does his thing. Freddie Freeman is creeping up on 3,000 hits fairly quickly here. I mean, he's still got a couple seasons ahead of him. He's 540 away from 3,000 hits. He's 36 years old. He continues at this pace. It's going to happen within the next 3 to 4 seasons, right? First of all, how awesome would that be to see Freddie Freeman get there? And then I want to know from you, closest behind him, I think, is like Altuve. He's obviously on that projection if he can stay out there. And then there's some young guys, Acuna, Soto, some of them younger guys that aren't anywhere near it. But if they keep healthy and they stay at the level they're at, some of that stuff. But I feel like with us going more and more towards, launch angle and home runs, and they don't care if you strike out, 3,000 hits is becoming more and more a rare thing in baseball.
First of all, as I said before on our show, I got a son. He's a left-handed hitter. If there's one guy you would want him to emulate, is that guy, Freddie Freeman, because he just does everything right. He doesn't break from his preparation. He doesn't break from his philosophy. And he stays over that ball, hits the ball the other way with power. He decides when he wants to pull, when he's going to do certain things, when he's going to change up his plan. But just a controlled, consistent approach of a hitter, I would love for my son to adopt some of that stuff. I just marvel at that. I think that that's tremendous, and it couldn't happen to a better guy, in terms of a winner, a guy who's got multiple world championships, got an MVP, I think, in a world championship, has come up with big hits, has played hurt, has done everything. It doesn't matter. That's why the Dodgers are successful, because Ohtani can bat at the top of the order, but you got Freeman in there in that third spot, fourth spot, or fifth spot, catching up and making those big hits. This guy is a bona fide Hall of Famer, and you're correct. With all the different things going on, he may be one of the last guys to hit, get 3,000 hits because of his approach. But it's tremendous, man. I love watching him. I'm a fan. I know what he's trying to do. I tried to do some of those things. I wasn't as good as him, but I just enjoy watching him go to home plate, have an approach in that bat, and then strike. It's just, to me, it couldn't happen to a better guy. We got to get that guy on this show.
We do. Greg, got to get on that. We need Freddie Freeman on the show.
Absolutely. We got to get him on the show.
How about this? Jose Altuve. He's the next closest. 35 years old. He needs 585 more to hit 3,000. You think Jose gets there?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you why. Because he's swinging. He's attacking everything, and he's always barreling up stuff. His spray chart is straight up. You don't know you don't know where to defend him because he's barreling everything. And I just think that the way, I think that he'll stay healthy. He's down here, over in West Palm. I get to see him a lot. He's a great guy, good dude, great attitude, comes to play every day. I think he's going to get it. And his style is just straight up, I'm aggressive, I'm ready to hit, I'm going to get my 200 hits, 180, 200 hits every season. He'll get there. Yeah,
I think so too. He also is those guys, he's taking an extra bag, he's doing the little things out in the field.
Yes.
Tito Francona called Jason Kipnis a dirtbag once. And it stuck hard. He goes, he's a dirtbag out on the field. And he meant that in the nicest way. Not like he's like, that guy's always dirty. Right. He's always taking the extra bases. That's Jose Altuve is that times 10. You know what I mean?
Right. Correct.
All right. I got one last thing for you, Mo. I don't know if you saw this clip. And it went crazy viral this morning. It was out of Cleveland last night. Home run to the bleachers in left field. All right. I'm going to walk you through this. Home run to the bleachers in left field. A guy, grown man, I would say in his 40s, easy, goes to catch the home run ball, goes off his hands, bounces a couple feet to the left. About a 10-year-old little girl goes to grab it, and this dude runs over, wrestles the ball away from her, and then stands there and puts it above his head. This is, I swear, I'll send you the video. And he's going crazy viral today. I got to find out your opinion on those guys. The guys like that in the field taking the balls from the kids, the autograph people stand outside bumping little kids out of the way when they're trying to resell them. There's a whole breed of these people. I don't understand them, Mo. I don't get it.
Look, man, as I've gotten older, I feel very lucky. I was out of the game in 2003. It's now 2026, and people still come up and ask me for an autograph. I think I'm lucky to be in that position. And I always sign and I always put my arm around the kids because I just did it the other day. We were up in Fort Pierce. Little guy came to me and goes, "Did you play in the major leagues?" Just really cute, like a cute little, he had red hair with freckles and he was sitting. And I was like, "Yeah, man, you need an autograph. All right, come on, let's go. Let's do this." Why are you knocking young little kids out of the way for a baseball? Come on, people. We are better than all of that. Let the young people get what they deserve and be in the front and help them achieve their dreams. You're old. Get out the way. Get out the way. You're old. Get the hell out the way. All right? And let the young people get it, man. Like, help them get, this world right now is so divisive and mean. Stop it, man. If we can't be mean, if we can't be good to children, who are we gonna be good to? So come on, man. Let's get out the way and let the young people enjoy what they should enjoy.
There was a happy ending to it. It was the Rays broadcast that was on FS1, and the Rays sideline reporter went and got a baseball and brought it to the little girl after the next inning. And the mom made a nice post thanking him. And that was a very, very classy move on their part. But man, I got to tell you, there's two parts to this. One is that guy's an idiot. You should never do that. You're a douche. The second part is, though, I don't ever want to be on the receiving end of what he's probably got going on through the internet right now, because that dude's getting dragged today. And that's your whole life gets flipped upside down. So you always got to remember what you're doing out there. People, there's cameras everywhere these days, Mo, everywhere.
Listen, you're right. There's cameras everywhere. You and I both have sons. We tell them, be careful when you press that send button because it doesn't come back. You have to be careful. And there's always an eye watching, and just do the right thing. It's not that hard. Just when you can do the right thing, it'll keep you inside the lines and hopefully you make the right decisions when it's time to make a decision. Do the right thing. It's not that hard.
And he's not gonna pat himself on the back, but I do want to give you a shout out, Mo, because about 8 feet away from where you're broadcasting right now, there is a giant L table that is covered in baseball cards and things to sign that people send Mo. And he takes the time out every single week. He gets hand cramps. He gets wrist cramps. He's out there knocking out signatures. But that's cool. A lot of people, and I get it. Some people were just like, hey, man, I don't have the time to do it or whatever. It's cool that you make the time to do it, because I know a lot of those people who send those out to you, you're probably a hero, in your playing days, and they found that baseball card in their attic and they're like, man, I wonder if Mo would ever sign this. And then can you imagine the feeling they probably get when that thing comes back to them signed? That's awesome. Listen,
there's cards that have been there 3, 4, 5 years. It just goes, it gets so thick and heavy. It does, but you could take a little time. I think you learn that with appreciation. I think you learn that over time. I think you learn that when you have kids. I think you learn to understand and respect some of the little things in life and realize that you can put a smile on somebody's face. And if you have the opportunity, try to do that, man. It goes a long way.
It certainly does. It certainly does. We got some big guests coming up, Mo. I'm going to say them because we're not going to jinx it. We're going to have Cole Hamels is joining us. I believe next week we're going with him. Jerry Ferrara from Turtle from Entourage.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a big Yankees guy. So I know he's going to, you probably.
We're going to go at it a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And then we got to get Freddie Freeman on. I'm putting Greg on the spot.
I get Freddie Freeman, and I got I got to give flowers to this guy, my captain at Seton Hall University, Craig Biggio. I can't wait to get him on just to talk to him and give him the appreciation of what he deserves for what he did for me when we were at Seton Hall. So I'm hoping to get Craig on very, very soon too.
It's amazing. Got to tell you, a lot of positive feedback out here in Cleveland on the podcast, Mo. People love hearing you. They miss your name up on this shipping container in right field.
I know I had it there, but yeah, Mo Vaughn Transport.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mo, always fun, brother. Always good to talk to you. Great stuff as always. When we get back next week, we'll have another week of the season gone. We'll have some good interviews and we'll have a little more perspective. Hopefully no more firings. But you never know. There could be some more fireworks.
You know, things happen in threes. You know what I mean? So let's hope the Mets can let's hope the Mets can get it going, turn it around. You get, our get the shortstop back and get him in the lineup and get him going. Only thing that I say about that, Mets, Phillies, Red Sox, I know how it feels in the clubhouse when it's like this. It's hard. So I never want this for any of the type of players. Let's hope they can all get a transformation and let the steam come off of them a little bit so they can play the game.
Everybody needs to be employed next week, including me. We're all still employed next week. That's what we're hoping for. All right, Mo, we'll talk to him next week, all right?